Distinguished viewers from around the globe, I invite you to close your eyes and join me on a journey of the imagination to a place of profound wonder. We are traveling to the southern part of the Korean peninsula in Northeast Asia, to the rugged and majestic slopes of Mount Gaya in Hapjeon, South Korea. Here, at an altitude of 655 to 700 meters, where thick mists and clouds often cling to the peaks, lies the 1,000-year-old sanctuary of Haeinsa Temple. At the highest point of this temple complex, inside a modest, pristine wooden structure, devoid of flamboyant decorations, rests one of the most magnificent and mysterious legacies of human history, preserved for nearly a millennium. Before you stands a staggering collection of wooden printing blocks weighing a massive 280 tons. This is a heavy weight that would require 70 4-ton trucks just to move. If you were to stack these blocks one by one, the pile would reach a height of 3,200 meters, towering far above Mount Paektu, the highest peak on the Korean peninsula, at 2,744 meters. Each block is about 4 centimeters thick, while the 1915 survey by the Japanese colonial government counted 81,258 blocks. Recent official tallies in Korea confirm a total of 81,352. Even more astounding is the number of characters meticulously carved on both sides: 52,382,960 characters. It is an almost superhuman volume of text. It would take a brilliant scholar reading for 8 hours every single day, without a single day of rest, a full 30 years just to read through it once. The official name of this giant heritage is the Haeinsa Daejanggyongpan, better known to us as the Tripitaka, Koreana, the ultimate record in the history of human intellect. A Tripitaka is the definitive compendium of Buddhist doctrine, consisting of the Sutra, the teachings of the Buddha, the Vinaya precepts and rules for disciples, and the Abhidhamma philosophical commentaries. In Buddhism, human agony is said to stem from 84,000 defilements, and the Buddha provided 84,000 sermons to the public. Because this archive contains all those vast truths, it is called the Tripitaka of 80,000 blocks. But here is the question. How did these 280 tons of wood, completed in 1251, survive for over 770 years, without rotting or warping, once all without modern air, conditioning, or dehumidifiers? Today we go beyond simple, religious texts and dive into a grand drama of survival, born from the cruel war of the Mongol invasions and the genius of ancient engineering that overcame human limits. The story begins 1,000 years ago. In 1011, the Goryeo dynasty began, carving the first Tripitaka to repulse the ruthless Khitan invasions, completing it in 1087. However, a terrible tragedy struck. In 1232, the Mongol Empire, which was sweeping across Eurasia, burned the original blocks to ashes at Buinsa Temple, at a time when the nation's existence was like a candle in the wind, with the land trampled by Mongol cavalry and the people's tears forming rivers. They did not despair, driven by an almost superhuman will to repel invaders. Through the absolute wisdom and mercy of the Buddha, they established the superintendency of the Tripitaka on Ganghwa Island, their place of refuge. And in 1236, they took up their saws, knives, and chisels once again. After 16 years of agonizing labor, they finally reborn the recarved Tripitaka, the Tripitaka Koreana, in 1251. It is estimated that 1.25 million people, nearly 20% of the entire Goryeo population of 3 million, participated in this national project. Everyone, from monks and royalty to officials, scholars, and commoners, united regardless of rank or class. Think deeply for a moment. Wood is naturally vulnerable to moisture and temperature, prone to rotting and warping. Choosing wood as the medium for a 1,000-year archive was a massive engineering challenge that had to be overcome. Our ancestors subjected the wood to a harsh, tempering process to make it live forever. First, they felled over 15,000 logs, each at least 40 centimeters thick, from Mount Jiri and the southern coasts. They strictly chose hardwoods like mountain cherry, pear, and birch. They were meticulous, felling them in the dead of winter, when moisture variation was minimal, in shaded northern valleys. The logs were not used immediately. They were transported by river to the sea and submerged in salty seawater for 3 years. They waited for the sap to slowly draw out. Finally, after the long wait, the wood was cut to size and subjected to a chemical treatment, akin to torture, boiling in salt water. At this point, I want to offer a clear insight to those of you struggling at the edge of life's cliff. My friends, doesn't life sometimes bring storms of unbearable pain? You might wonder why the world gives such harsh trials only to you, and why you must endure the pain of being boiled in salt water. However, that painful, boiling salt water was the miracle vaccine that allowed the perishable wood to live forever. When wood is fully soaked in salt water, the salt retains just enough vapor as it dries, keeping the humidity constant and allowing the wood to dry evenly. This prevents the wood grain from cracking or warping. Moreover, the boiling salt water sterilized all the insect eggs, hidden deep within the wood, providing the ultimate preservative treatment. Only the wood that endured the salt water and drew out its impurities could be reborn as an immortal block. Later, 3 layers of lacquer were added to block moisture, and copper end caps of 99.6% purity were attached to prevent wear. It was the culmination of tearful perfectionism, preparing for every trial nature could inflict. The reason the Tripitaka Koreana leaves world scholars speechless is not just its physical preservation. It is because the integrity and academic perfection of the text filling those 52 million characters is unparalleled in human history. At the center was the genius scholar Monk Sugi. As the head of Gaitesa Temple, he planned a data project that utilized every Buddhist record in East Asia. He collected the Song version, the Khitan version, and even surviving prints of the first Goryeo Tripitaka, cross-referencing them character by character. Whenever interpretations differed, he found the most accurate logic to correct every missing word, typo, and omission. He recorded his reasoning in a 30-volume research treatise titled The Supplementary Record of the Collation of the New Tripitaka of the Goryeo Kingdom, which remains today. Professor Robert Buswell of UCLA praised this, noting that 200 years before Erasmus, the father of Western textual criticism in the 16th century, Monk Sugi of Goryeo had already achieved the greatest feat in intellectual history by applying consistent collation principles in the 13th century. Despite the many calligraphers involved, the 52 million characters appeared as if written by a single hand, carved with a uniform style. This terrifying obsession with accuracy is the real reason the world bows to the Tripitaka Koreana. Neighboring powers could not simply watch such a perfect treasure. The obsession of Japanese rulers was near madness. From shoguns to daimyo warlords, they sent envoys 83 times between 1389 and 1509 to take the entire Tripitaka. Their methods ranged from tearful pleading to military threats. The kings of the Joseon dynasty, who practiced a policy of suppressing Buddhism in favor of Confucianism, were also troubled by these relentless demands. In 1422, during the reign of the great king Sejong, the Tripitaka was sometimes seen as useless in a Confucian state. Sejong once asked his ministers, "The Tripitaka is useless to us, yet Japan asks for it so desperately. Why not just give it to them to avoid diplomatic friction?" If the ministers had agreed then, the Tripitaka Koreana might be locked in a museum in Tokyo today. However, the ministers fought back, saying, giving away a precious treasure just because they ask would be a foolish precedent. They narrowly blocked the export. Having been protected through such trials, the Tripitaka faced many more crises during war. During the Imjin War of 1592, when Japanese forces occupied the Songju region near Hainsa, General Guok, Ju and the righteous armies and warrior monks defended the temple entrance in hand-to-hand combat. The most terrifying crisis came in 1951, during the Korean War. After the Incheon landing, about 1,000 North Korean soldiers hid near Hainsa to wage guerrilla warfare. The U.S. Air Force decided to support the operation with airstrikes. On December 18, 1951, Colonel Kim Young-hwan, leading a fighter squadron over Haeinsa, was ordered to bomb the area. If those 500-pound bombs had been dropped, the 280 tons of dry wood would have turned to ash in a minute. However, Colonel Kim made a decision that changed history. Risking a court-martial for insubordination, he ordered, "Absolutely do not drop bombs on the temple grounds." His noble decision to protect human culture amidst the fires of war was a miracle that kept 1,000 years of wisdom alive. Surviving war does not mean the wood stays rot-free on its own. The ultimate magic that protected the blocks lies in the engineering of the Jangyong Panjeon, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Our ancestors did not fight the hot and humid climate they designed, a system that rides the natural flow of nature. The first miracle is the natural convection system, created by asymmetric windows. The windows on the front and back of the building are all different sizes. The front has large lower windows and small upper ones, while the back has the reverse. Cool, dry air from the valley enters through the large front windows, circulates through the blocks, and expels through the large back windows once it becomes warm and light. It is a zero-power, natural air conditioner that circulates air 24 hours a day, based only on pressure differences. The second miracle is buried in the ground. Before building, they dug deep and layered sand, lime, and clay, and packed it with charcoal and salt. This layer is a giant natural dehumidifier. In the rainy season, the charcoal and salt suck in moisture to prevent mold. In the dry winter, they release it to prevent the wood from cracking. However, modern technology had to taste humiliating defeat before the laws of nature. In the 1970s, the government built a modern concrete building with state-of-the-art equipment to protect the blocks permanently. But when they moved some blocks, a disaster occurred. Condensation formed on the surfaces, and the wood began to warp. The artificial control failed to overcome the subtle airflows, and the concrete walls choked the sensitive wood. The plan was scrapped, and the blocks returned to their home. This was a complete defeat of human control before the humble wisdom of the ancients. Distinguished viewers, the science of the Tripitaka Koreana and the Jangyong Panjeon is a powerful philosophical compass for our lives today. When we face storms and wounds, we often build a wall of defense around our hearts, like that failed modern building. We close our windows and lock ourselves in. But in a closed, concrete heart, spiritual condensation occurs. Trapped sorrow and depression rot the soul and twist our lives. The isolation meant to protect us becomes a deadly poison. Do you truly wish to survive? Implant the wisdom of the Panjeon into your heart. The way to protect yourself in a storm is not to build a wall, but to open the asymmetric windows of your heart, adjusting your breathing to the situation. Accept positive energy through the large windows and let out resentment and old emotions through the windows on the other side. Also, lay your charcoal and salt at the bottom of your heart. Keep healthy habits, charcoal to absorb anxiety, and keep the salt of loving memories to moisten your heart when life feels dry. Even if you are boiled in salt water, in the harsh sea of life, mature your soul, like those cherry wood blocks that became stronger through the tempering of pain. If you embody that philosophy of flexible survival breathing with the world rather than fighting, your value will shine for 1,000 years, just like the Tripitaka Koreana. It is time to throw open the windows of your heart. Thank you.